And this is a wonderful, so good day. It certainly is. On this week, we celebrate our freedom in our great country, and that's coming up on July 4th. It always takes me back to the two-room school that I went to in this teeny tiny little town. And the teacher would open the history book, and right away it was like, oh, so boring. Maybe it was a teacher that, I don't want to say she was boring, but somehow she had all these children in all these grades. You know, we had grades 1 through 4 and 4 through 8. Well, when I was in 4 through 8, there were a lot of kids in this room. And she couldn't spend any time trying to make anything come alive. She opened the book, this is what it was. Now you read. Well, we read about the history of our country, and we saw pictures in the history book. And somehow they didn't look very interesting. Somehow they looked to me like stodgy old men standing around doing something. Well, she told us that they were signing the Declaration of Independence, and this was really important. But I never really learned why it was important until much later in my life. That here, this was a document that set forth the reasons why the 13 colonies wanted to be separated from Great Britain. This was declaring the freedom of those 13 colonies. Now the men, this doesn't come through in the pictures, the men that were there were very brave. And they knew the consequences, that when they put their signature to this document, then the consequences were that they could be hanged or shot for treason. But they did it anyway, because they believed in something so strongly. They believed in freedom, and they were standing up for freedom. And I hope that they knew what a great thing that they were doing also. For generations to come, here we have a free country. And how beautiful that is. So then, 4 days later, the Liberty Bell was rung in 1776 as celebration. Well, we don't ring bells anymore for celebrating. We have fireworks. We have these explosive arrays of brilliant light and sound and color. But there's something to me about the 4th of July that goes way deeper than that. It's the feelings that I get from singing patriotic songs. It's the feelings that I get when I look at our flag and how important that is to me. Now, I have been told that to be patriotic is not cool. Well, then I'm going to be uncool, because I intend to be patriotic. I love my country. Yes, I do. And so it seems that we have this great document, we have all these things, we have this country. Do we appreciate it? I think on the 4th of July, let's go within and say, yes, I do appreciate my country. So I ask you though, what is freedom? We have definitions of freedom all over the place, and I know that when I was growing up, I had my own definition. That I thought that freedom was I could do anything I pleased. I thought freedom was I could be my own person and I didn't have to follow anybody else's rules. Well, I went from my parents' house into nurses training, and I ran headlong into authority and rules and regulations. Freedom? I don't think so. I was 18 years old, and I had to be in the dorm at 10. Lights out. No, I wasn't free. Then I decided that marriage was a good idea. Oh, now I can be free. I can do exactly as I please. But I soon found out that every decision I made, I had to take another person into consideration. No, I can't say I was totally free, no. And then came babies. Oh dear. I have never been so tied down. No freedom at all, it seemed to me anyway. See, the problem was that I really didn't understand freedom. I, like so many young people, and I was young once, truly was young, way back then. Well, I'm young now. We're all young now. But the young people seem to have the attitude that freedom belongs to them. Some demand freedom. Entitlement, yes, absolutely. And they don't see that there is any responsibility that goes with freedom. And if you can't accept the responsibility, then you better be able to accept the consequences. So of course we all need to have some kind of rules and regulations in our society, because if we didn't, we wouldn't have freedom at all. It would be total chaos. But the question is, how many rules, how many regulations do we need? And that's up to each one of us to decide. We each have our own opinions about that, and each of us is entitled to our own opinions. And that is all I'm going to say about that. But I did find out that true freedom only comes from within. It cannot be found in this world. But think of all the things in this world that bother us. Do you have anything that bothers you? Well, sometimes it seems that things break down. Do they seem to come in threes? Yeah. And we have a lot of gadgets and electronic things that just seem to break down, crash, burn. All kinds of things in this world. And all we have to do then also is turn on the news. And here we have in our country fires in one end and flooding in another. And we send our prayers to all these people that they will get through these things. With spirit, they will get through these things. But there are all these things in life that seem to get under our skin, to put it that way. And we say to ourselves, well, how can I possibly be happy with all these things that I have to take care of? And then I remembered Eckhart Tolle, who said, the universe really isn't here to make you happy. It's here to wake you up. Wake me up for what purpose? So that I can discover my own true identity. So I can discover the Christ nature of me. So maybe we could look at all these breakdowns and things in this life that seem to bother us as wake-up calls. Maybe we could find good in every one of them, because good is there, because God is there. So good is in everything. So it seems to me then that when we turn within, because that's where we find our freedom. Remember what Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Many people look at Jesus as the truth, but he never would have put that on himself. The truth is the God presence within. And that same God presence that was in Jesus is in you and me. And that got him through, it will get us through anything. As I said in the meditation, this power that lives within is greater than anything in this world. So yes, we can go within, and we can be happy, and we can find our freedom. And when we do that, I'm going to say it's like magic. Because things don't change out there, but yet we're looking at them differently. We see differently. The perspective is different. Magic. I'm going to tell you what magic is. M-A-G-I-C. Me. Accepting God in consciousness. That's magic. Me and you. Accepting God in consciousness, in our minds, in our hearts, in our lives. That's magic. And I know that we have experienced that, every single one of us in this room. When we turn within, there is magic. Well, maybe we all need a reminder of that, do you suppose? We probably do, because we tend to forget in this world. We tend to forget what blessings we have. And so, of course, you know what's coming, don't you? Sure. It's tradition here. You have to have a reminder. Well, I'll tell you what it is today, but you already know it. You already know it. So it's a gift. And I have to tell you that when I went to the bank to get these, they always hand it to you this way, and I immediately turn it over that way. Because this, on the green side, is where the message is. Oh, there's a little bit of a message on the front, but not quite enough. So I'm going to pass these out, and maybe I will start at the back. And I could let someone help me with this, but this is too much fun. So it's something that I just like to do. So you just take whatever, and, well, come on, you have to have some back here, too. You all have one over there? No, you don't. Here, come on, we got lots of these. So I need to say that as you are looking at these, and I see we have some young people in here today, that's wonderful.
I get theirs.
Oh, no, you don't. Now, I'm going to ask you this, though. Where else can you go to get money? Who gives money away? What church can you go to get money? Not too many. I missed you. How did I do that? I don't want to miss anybody. This is way, way too much fun. Okay, so now, if you look at this dollar bill, this is the message, this is the reminder that in the middle is a great big 1. And I'd like, especially for the younger people, I have more of these too, by the way, so feel free. No, not yet. Not yet. Wait a minute, I have more. Who's counting all the ones on both sides?
I'm always ready.
Well, you don't know. How many are there?
17.
Oh, no, I don't think, well, I don't know if there are 17. Anybody need more? Well, you can have 2 or 3 here, you know. We have lots of these. Okay. So, oh, all right, I don't want any back. This is ridiculous here. Okay. So now, if you notice on the green side and the front, you count all those ones. I count 15. I don't know how many you count.
17.
How many? Oh boy. Okay, 15 would mean 1 God, and 5 is change. There's always change going on in this world. That's what I get out of that. Now you see, well, I also have to tell you about this, that some, oh really? Oh, that's good. All right. Well, some people look at this, and I was told not too long ago that if I understood what this really was, I wouldn't be holding this up here today. Because this is a sign, symbol of things that aren't so good. I don't buy it. I don't care what other people think of it. I know what I think of it. It's my message of good. And so I invite us today to take this in a personal way. Take this really personally, because it's a message for you. It's a message for me. Okay, so now where were we with all the ones? Okay. So 1, and right up above that big 1 on the green side, in God we trust. This is on all our coins. This is the message. This is the reminder to trust in this power that lives within you. You know that this power intends for you to be successful. It intends for you to be a winner. In fact, you were born a winner. You weren't born flawed. You weren't born sinful. You were born a winner. And you are here to create a beautiful life, not just for yourself, but for everyone. So we look at this 1, and we see that there are 2 circles, the Great Seal of the United States, 2 sides. And on the one side, we see that there is the all-seeing eye and the pyramid. Now, I'm only going to give the symbols that I feel would be personally something you could take home with you. See, we could go and count the 13s on here, and we'd be here for a long, long time counting the 13s. That's just something that you can do at home. Or actually, you can look this up. You know, when I went to the bank, the puzzled look on a cashier's face was just funny. And I knew she was wanting to ask me, what do you want all these for? But, of course, they're not allowed to ask. And so I said, would you like to know? Oh, yes. I said, well, I'm going to pass these out at the service on Sunday. Really? No, I don't think she's here. No, she just couldn't believe it. That's what you do? Yes, that's what we do. And I said, there's a really wonderful message on here, so you go home and look it up. With a computer, we can look up anything, can't we? Yeah, so you can go home and look this up too. So you're going to see all kinds of things. But here, let me ask you this. This all-seeing eye and that pyramid, these are things that people wonder, where did they come from? Well, we have the idea that this country was founded on Christian principles. Not really so. Most of these men were Universalist Unitarians. They had open minds. They accepted all people, all religions. These people were creators, not conformists. They were creating something new. What a lesson for you and me. That we are here in this world to create something new, to birth something. Yeah, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay, so you and I here every day of our lives are creating something. By all the thoughts we think, the actions, the words we say, what we do today creates our tomorrow. We need to be aware of what we are saying and doing. And so we are creating something new. Yes, these men were Freemasons, most of them. And if you have ever been in a Masonic temple, well, tell me how many have been in a Masonic temple. Do you know that Unity in St. Paul has their services in a Masonic temple? So I have been in several of them, and I know that when you walk in, what's the first thing that you probably see? First of all, George Washington. And the one in Crystal Lake, Illinois, his portrait is so big that it's a ceiling that's way higher than this. He goes from floor to ceiling, and he takes up half the wall. And he stands there in all his glory with his little carpenter apron that is a symbol of Freemasonry. Now you're also going to see in a Masonic temple the all-seeing eye, which is a sign, a symbol of divinity. It is the symbol of God. that they call the great architect of the universe. It's also reminiscent of the eye of Horus that comes from Egypt, reminiscent of the third eye of Buddha. And if you look out there at that picture that we have in the entryway, Jesus has a round circle of light in between his eyes. Jesus spoke about light. And he said, if your eye is single, your whole body is full of light. If your eye is single and you see spirit, then that is in you and that's what you radiate. But if you are double-minded, if you have this idea that there are two powers, one for evil and one for good, then you are denying the omnipresent good of God. So I think that we can get a lot from this $1 bill. We see the all-seeing eye in that capstone. In all its radiance, it is there. And we see the pyramid, which is a symbol of strength and duration. All these are wonderful symbols for our lives. And that capstone is not on the pyramid. That signifies that this nation is not finished and we are not finished. There is plenty for us to do and to be in this life. Plenty of good for us to do. Let's look over at the other side of this great seal. And we see the eagle, a symbol of victory. Before I get to that, though, let me say something about symbols. Because that's what this is, and it contains a lot of symbols. And I think that all of us are free to interpret symbols any way we like. How many symbols are there in your life? I looked around my house yesterday. I couldn't believe. How many symbols do you wear? Look, how many symbols do you have on you right now? And what's your interpretation of them? You can make them anything you want. That's the freedom we have. We're entitled to do that. So Manly P. Hall, in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, says that symbolism is the language of the mysteries. And symbols, through them, we are constantly seeking to communicate with one another that which transcends our limited language. A symbol speaks more loudly than any words you could ever say. And symbols can conceal and they can reveal. And then he says, and to the ignorant, they are inscrutable. They are still mysterious. But I say that we can interpret these any way we want. So let's go to the eagle now. And we see that the eagle, his face is turned toward the olive branch, which represents peace. And I'm not going to go into the rest of the things that are all around him and all of that, but just to say this about the eagle. When I was in meditation years ago, and we were told that we could draw to us any animal that we wanted as our symbol, the eagle came to me. And so when I made my drum, the eagle was what I put on my drum. To me, that eagle represents freedom. The eagle is one bird that does not fight the storm. You see, birds usually do one of two things. They usually go and hide from a storm, or they fight the storm till they are so weak that they are forced down. But not the eagle. He rises above the storm. And that's a message for you and me, that we are to rise above the storms of life. Look at our unity wings. Don't they tell us the same thing? To rise above. And every time that you and I rise above, we lift this whole world with us. Beautiful symbols. What more can I say? except to talk about money itself. You might have known I do it, right? You see, this we call paper. It's not paper, it's cotton and linen, and it has silk threads running through it. And it has an ink, the formula of which we'll probably never, any one of us know. But it's amazing, isn't it? It can go through the wash numerous times, and it still comes out looking pretty good. But there's something else about money. I don't own this. I don't own this any more than I truly own, my house, my car, my clothes, or anything. I'm just using these things. And when I leave this earth, I can't take any of this with me. Hopefully, while I am here, I can do good with this. This is to be kept in circulation. So I had a conversation with somebody this week then, all about money. And she said, okay, let's see. How about in a restaurant? How much of a tip do you give? You know, last week I talked about this, good for tipping. Lots of them though. You know, not just a few. Come on. And so she said, do you think 10% is enough to tip a waitress? No. Well, how about 15? Well, that's better. Well, how about 20? Oh, I like that. And she said, you know, sometimes I do 25. And I like that too. Somebody does something good for you, why not? Keep this circulating. You know, the word for affluence, that means free-flowing. That's what you and I are supposed to be, free-flowing. You give this out, it comes back. Comes back multiplied. I had an aunt years ago who said, you can't even give enough of this away. It keeps coming, flooding back to you so much. It's amazing. Well, I don't know, don't believe me. You just try it, see what happens. Just see what happens. Yesterday, when I was having a pedicure, this little Vietnamese gal, sweet as can be, she was so proud because she had just become a U.S. citizen. And she just grinned from ear to ear. And she said, can I also call myself an American? I said, yes, you can. And her friend sitting next to her, who was not a citizen, said, no, you can't. You're Vietnamese. That's what you're always going to be. Yes, you are Vietnamese, but you're also American. I said, you know what that means? She said, I'm so proud of that, I can't even begin to tell you. I said, I know, I can see it in your face. Always keep that pride. The last 4 letters of American, what are they? I can. The power within gives you that power to say, I can. I can do what I have come to do in this life. I can. This is a reminder. Keep it. I have one in my Bible. Some people say, oh, that's sacrilegious. No, it's not. It's a wonderful reminder. In God I trust. Keep this anywhere you like. Take it home with you. Look at it. And know that this is a reminder of true freedom. The freedom that you have in this country, yes, it's beautiful. And also the true freedom that you have within. And that is the God presence within you that says,